Hello everyone, it's Para from the Paradox Brothers channel. Today I'm going to be doing a deck profile video for you, and I will most likely also have a video where I play this deck on Dueling Book, maybe in the same video, maybe in a different video. We'll see what I feel like after this video and how long this ends up being. So to begin with, this is a Blackluster Soldier Chaos Control deck. And by Blackluster Soldier, I mean I'm using the Blackluster Soldier Ritual card. Um, I think recently there's been people kind of trying to use Master Zork, or whatever that card's name is, and that kind of lends itself a little better to Chaos because of its dark attribute. However, I do think that this deck can play pretty well, even though this is an Earth attribute. And the reason why is because one, it's very strong. Two, it's not a normal summon, it's a special summon, which is always nice. Three, you have many options as far as tribute fodder to use, um, many of which can synergize with Chaos. For example, Dark Magician of Black Chaos, or Dark Magician of Chaos, um, and the Mandrill of 10,000 Hands. This card particularly, it's just you literally just toss it out, or even Blackluster Soldier and War at the beginning if you really need to get a monster on the field. There are many ways to get him out, and obviously getting him into the graveyard and then bringing him back with Premature Burial or Call the Haunted is very ideal. So, but enough of the beginning part of this. Let's go ahead and get into the actual cards themselves. So I play 3 Blackluster Soldier, the ritual card. 3,000 attack, vanilla monster, 2,500 defense, same stats as Blue Eyes, same stars as Blue Eyes, just a warrior and earth attribute. So, very cool card. I've always loved this artwork. I'm sure a lot of people who are within the same age bracket as me probably really like this artwork as well. And then the upgraded version of that is Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, uh, and Chaos Sorcerer for the other Chaos monster. Oh, and I suppose the third honorary Chaos monster would be Dark Magician of Chaos. Uh, these two cards are very obvious why they'd be in here, and this is kind of like, in the place of what might be a second Chaos Sorcerer. Instead, it kind of allows you to reoccur some spells and add. It's also honestly one effect of this monster that's not really appreciated, I feel, is the ability to whatever monster it destroys to remove it from play. I mean, honestly, that's really great because it just helps you manage the graveyard or manage what's in the graveyard so much easier so they can't get their lights and darks in there. Can't get Sangan's effect, can't get Recruiter's effect. That effect, the being able to banish or actually mandatorily banishing whatever card you would destroy with it is really nice as well. But obviously, the getting back the spell can be really powerful depending upon what you have in your graveyard at the time. I play 3 Manju of the 10,000 Hands. This is the searcher for either the spell or the ritual monster itself. These are the only ritual searchers I use because I do currently in this build play 3 Blackluster Soldier ritual monsters and 3 of the actual ritual card that goes with it. So I don't really feel like any need for Sinju or anything like that. This works out quite well, and you can also flip summon him and recycle him with Tsukiyomi. Um, I play 2 Magician of Faith, just a very powerful card. Also lends itself to the control component of this deck. 1 Tsukiyomi. Like I said, you can not only use it for Magician of Faith and the other flip monsters I have in this deck, but also for Manju as well to get its effect multiple times. Magical Merchant, which is just a really good card to kind of accelerate your deck if you're not playing upstarts. I'm not playing upstarts because this kind of has a like kind of almost like a kind of a beat down component to it. It's not really the main focus exactly, but really when you're certain that you can get in there and do a massive amount of damage. So I don't really want to play upstart goblins, so I instead use this, and I'm okay with milling off a lot of these cards, honestly. Um, Obviously, Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning would be kind of a crappy card to mill off, but it doesn't happen very often. It's only one out of the 40 cards, so I'm not that worried about it. Break of the Magical Warrior, just if used correctly, it can be a major plus in your advantage. You can destroy a back row and also run over a monster, so really nice. And you can use them as being a dark and light tribute combination. And something I like to do is to have if I have Breaker and Mandrew on the field to ritual summon Blackluster Soldier, then you can summon a Chaos Monster to follow up. You know, lots of cool things you can do. One Sangan, which allows you to search the Magical Merchant, Tsukiyomi, Magician of Faith, the Manjus, and the Serpent. Kaiko the Ghost Destroyer, just as a little bit more of a early stage aggression, as well as if you can get lucky and get a nice shot in on the graveyard to kind of remove lights and darks. And Sinister Serpent, once again, for the control Thousand Eyes Restrict component of the deck. Moving on to the traps. One Ring of Destruction, one Mirror Force, one Torrential Tribute, and one Call Haunted. Very standard cards. I didn't really want to play too many traps in here because it's a very spell-heavy deck naturally, so I wanted to kind of just continue with that theme and set it up to where I can easily convert over to a Rural Decree package with enemy controllers, which you'll see in my side deck, that allows you to deal with like really annoying matchups, like just anything that use a lot of Raigeki Breaks, Solemn Judgments, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Phoenix Wing Wind Blast being a really terrible card for us, so we don't want to run into that. Pretty much if we're playing against decks that run lots of those, this small trap package will be very helpful because we won't really have to sacrifice too much when we put in World Decrees. In fact, you can honestly keep most of these traps in with the World Decrees. And 4 spells, Pot of Greed, Graceful Trade, Deliberate Duo, and then the 3 Blackluster Ritual cards. 1 Premature Burial. Just as a side note, you can actually Premature Burial Blackluster Soldier if you summon it properly, just like a Chaos Monster. 1 Snatch Steal, 1 Mystical Space Typhoon, 1 and 1 Heavy Storm. Also, as a note about Snatch Steal, it's obvious is you can take your opponent's monster and then use it for the ritual summon as well. For the control component, 2 Scapegoat and 2 Metamorphosis. I think this is perfect for the amount of spell recursion you have in here and the amount of monsters you play. 2 Metamorphosis, 2 Scapegoat is actually great. It also gives you many opportunities to summon Gatling Dragon because you play lots of level 8s actually. And I play 3 Book of Moons. I think this card in general is much better than people kind of give it credit for. It's just very versatile if used correctly. As people have said in the past, it's the best kind of -1 card you can use. It doesn't honestly, it's not really truly a negative card if used correctly because you can make that difference up. It's kind of like a gambit that's not really a gambit if you use it correctly, if you're thinking in chess terms. So, but the 3 Book of Moon really help us act as kind of like a pseudo solemn judgment to prevent your big monsters from getting taken with Snatch Steal or Brain Control or things like that, or running into Mirror Forces to sucker at your armors. There's lots of ways you can use this. You can also use it to put your opponent's monsters face down. One of the matches you'll see, I'm playing against an opponent who decides just to run in with Blackluster Soldier because there's a Rural Decree up, and he runs. I have like Dark Magician of Chaos on the field. He runs in with BLS, and instead of using the banish effect, and I flip it face down, and he just quits. And 2 Noblemen Cross Out that complement really well with the Book of Moons. Obviously, are very good cards on their own. That's it for the main deck, and for the side deck, I have 3 Mind Control. Another card I think is losing popularity, but is only because people are not playing it correctly. I think that like a trend that's happening now is where a lot of people are playing Chaos Turbo decks, which are kind of the easier side to understand. Every card in a Chaos Turbo deck, for the most part, is a pretty fantastic card and very self-explanatory and lends itself to the next card that you draw. It really kind of becomes almost automatic in a way. Not to say that the high-level play there isn't a lot of strategy and a lot of skill required, because there definitely is, but it's a very easy deck to get into, which is why I think a lot of people are drawn to it, because like anything, early on success kind of motivates long-term learning. So if someone get success early on with the deck, they'll feel like they'll keep wanting to play and keep wanting to get better. However, I think a lot of people are not using mind control correctly, trying to counter those strategies. Um, it's an amazing card. You can banish a chaos monster, it can take flip effect monsters. It's just about waiting to see what your opponent has. If you have the resource, a life point resource, sometimes you just have to let it rip and hope for the best. But if you don't have to, don't always just use it immediately. Just kind of fill out the situation. If your opponent has a face down set monster, look at the graveyard, look at their hand size, look at what's been played, what hasn't been played. If they don't have a lot of spells in their grave, who cares really if it's a Magician of Faith? Yeah, they can play a Pot of Greed or Crystal Charity next turn and then recycle it. And that is what it is. That is GOAT format. But you don't always have to use this immediately. And one of the best uses is just banishing chaos monsters, using Shrive against itself, using a breaker of your opponent's breaker against them. Lots of cool uses for it. Next, there are 3 Roll Decree, just mandatory against trap, heavy decks, burn decks, but not just burn decks, all sorts of decks. So this works. It's just a really good card. 3 Azure Priest for the goat control decks and reasoning control decks or reasoning decks, because yeah, it's just a great card to get rid of it. It's also a light, so you don't sacrifice any of your light components to your chaos engines. 3 enemy controller. There are multiple uses for this. Good against aggressive matchups because a lot of really strong attack cards have kind of weak defense as far as the warriors are concerned, but it's also good against like kind of burn to a lesser degree because you can tribute off your monsters. There are your tokens, your drama tokens and things like that, and get rid of them to take control of your opponent's monsters. There's lots of cool uses for this card. Something to note on Ajama tokens is you can actually attribute the Ajama tokens and the Scapegoat tokens to help summon this as well. And lastly, the 3 Smashing Ground, just really good against Gravekeeper Spy, aggressive decks, Reasoning Gate decks if you can survive a turn. Obviously, Smashing Ground doesn't really go very well with Book of Moon, but you know, this is a great card nonetheless to get rid of even Thousand Eyes of Strix and all sorts of cards. So not by no means is this the best side deck. It's just the one that I put together for these particular matches that you'll see me play. So that's it for this deck profile video. As I said, I will also have a deck playthrough video for this as well. I may just end up attaching it to the back side of this, so we'll see. All right, thanks for watching and have a good day.